Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Traci Scheepstra, and this is Embodied Learning's Body Talk. Every week we bring body talk to you because we are committed to bringing the body into the elementary classroom and into the curriculum. This week on Body Talk, I wanted to talk to you about getting started at the beginning of the school year. We are stepping into a whole new paradigm. We've never done this before. We have never had to go back to school after being through a pandemic. We've never had to go back to school where we had to think about social distancing and wearing masks. We have not had to go back to school knowing that some of our students have been coming from homes where they have had detrimental experiences that really have impacted their lives and may do so for many, many years to come. We know that mental health and wellness is a problem right now, that we have a mental health crisis. We had students that were already struggling before, and we know that we'll have students that will be struggling even more so coming back into school. Therefore, it's really important that we bring our communities back together in a way that we have never had to think about in the past. Now, I've always been a proponent for community building. Community building for me is really the foundation of any school environment. You can teach your subjects, but you cannot teach them well if you do not have students that want to be at school, if you do not have students that feel excited and or safe or welcome or included in their classroom environments. So for me, the first thing ever when we bring our students back into our classroom has to be bringing our community together, building up that community, finding ways in which students feel that they are connected to each other, that they really belong, that is a safe place that they can come to every day. Now, I know that that's a big task. And of course, we cannot do for everybody what they need. Our idea of safety, our idea of inclusion, our idea of feeling welcome is very much based on our own perception of the world, but we can certainly do our very best by getting to know our students and having our students get to know each other and creating an openness where our students feel that they can come and they can talk with us, where we are willing to have a conversation, we are willing to listen, we're willing to ask questions. I know that when I start any of my classes with the teacher candidates I teach at university, one of the very first things that I do at the beginning of the year is that I start with getting to know them, building trust and respect with my students. I teach dance and drama. That's one of the main subjects I teach. And so building that community is critical because my students can't sort of let go and start to have fun and feel at ease if they feel that there isn't sort of that sense of comfort within the classroom with their peers. I often think that it can take a good month when we bring a new group of students together to really have them feel that they are really rooted in place so that there's a sense of grounding in the classroom. And one of the ways that we do that is by setting really clear expectations and having guidelines. I'm not so much for rules, but I really love guidelines. Guidelines are something that we can all sort of abide by. It's not about what you can't do, but it's really about what you can do. And, one of the things that I always recommend is from the beginning, if you can say to students, how do we want our classroom to feel? How is it that we want to talk to each other? What's really important about the ways in which we listen? What makes us feel included? What makes us feel safe? And asking those questions. What are you most excited about by being at school? And when we start to hear those student voices, we can start to include that in the ways that we build community. Now, of course, body talk, which is what I'm, here to talk about, is really how do we include the body as part of that kind of community building experience? Well, one of the best ways is to actually get students in their body. And you can do all kinds of really great games, like getting to know each other's names and putting an action to it. You can do a lot of practice with communication, like active listening and active speaking, where you actually use the body to communicate. So anything that gets students feeling like, I am really comfortable being in my body. I'm comfortable communicating with others. I'm comfortable being in a space. I'm understanding the guidelines around where is my space versus somebody else's space. What is a way in which I can safely move through the room and get back to my desk? where I am not going to be, getting into somebody else's, comfort zone, and I'm being, protective of my own, or again, lining up the door, or all the things that happen in a classroom, all those things that need to be sort of set up from the beginning. So we can actually use drama games and put on music and do things like dance and freeze to practice personal space and to practice stop and listen and, our own inhibitory control. Where we have to wait. What's the cue? What's the next sort of thing that's going to happen? So as you prepare to go back into the classroom, the one thing that I really want to urge you is to think about community, 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 how to build connection with each other, how to allow for communication to flourish, and bring creativity into that as well, because that is going to be so important for your students. So we have a lot of resources on our website where you can look at them. They give you ideas. And we have activities on mirroring. We have activities on flocking. I have a lovely resource called a dance party. I also have ones on how you can explore emotions through the body that are great as well in terms of getting students back into the classroom. So there's lots of different things that you can do that really support that whole sort of bonding and community building from the very, very start. And once you do that and set the expectations and the guidelines, and students are starting to feel that level of comfort, then you can really start getting them into that place of, now we're going to really learn the curriculum. And I think it's a lot easier when you put the work in the beginning to have everybody feel like they're part of one big school family than if you try and do it little by little as you go along. Because what I've seen in my experience of watching teachers who don't spend the time at the beginning is a lot of the year gets spent just sort of going back and having to repeat yourself over and over and over again. So if I can encourage you to really allow students to come into this new sort of way of being within the school, where they feel that they can, where it's positive and it's fun and they are seen and they are heard, and they get to be a part of the process. And they feel, again, that there is just sort of this sort of embrace that's happening. Welcome, welcome. We're so glad you're here. And you use the body as a way to feel and experience that, not just talk about it or be told, but to experience it. I think we're going to have a really good start to the year. And regardless of whether we have to keep our distance, and regardless of whether we may need to wear our masks and do things differently, and there's protocols in place, I think we're going to do okay. I think we're going to do okay as long as people feel that they're, all in it together. So thank you for listening. If you want to know more about Embodied Learnings, you can go to our website at www.embodiedlearnings.com. Again, we've got lots of resources on our website. We also have a blog that you can read to learn with us. And we're going to be preparing some really interesting workshops. And as they are ready to be shared, you can bet that we're going to share you. If you're not on our newsletter, please sign up. Every week you get some great new resources, and we have all kinds of different topics that we're talking about. Anyway, that's it for Body Talk for this week, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.